Come on in, welcome to my home. Today we're talking coffee. I'm going to tell you how I make what I consider a good pot of coffee for what I use. I'm telling you right now that there are a million different ways that you can make coffee. This is just what I found works really well for what I do. You do your coffee the way that works best for you and your coffee maker. I have a drip coffee maker, and I use that all the time for all the coffee things that I do. And I'm using my favorite coffee beans. You're going to have to experiment, try it out, figure out what beans work best for you. But what I've found is for making coffee, and like I said, there are a billion different ways of making coffee. So for those of you who are saying I'm making this absolutely wrong, this is really what works best for me and how I use my coffee. Because one thing to remember is I'm not a big coffee drinker, and so I use my coffee in different ways. Now, a lot of us are just now, as of recording this, our lockdowns are now just ending, and we're finding out that we didn't spend much money on coffee, and we can keep that going if we try making our own coffee and bringing it to work, taking it wherever we need to go. But we have to figure out how we did it at home and do it consistently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my coffee beans, put it into my coffee grinder, and how you store your beans is also going to be just as important. I keep my beans in a sealed container in a cool, dark place. Not cold, cool. It also doesn't have a lot of humidity. Some people put it in their freezer or their refrigerator. I have been told and I have found that putting that there can get moisture to your coffee, and so that doesn't really work all that well. Now, if it is in something that's like airtight, sealed, that might work, but I have found cool, dark place up in my cabinet is wonderful. So I'm going to put it in my coffee grinder, and yes, I do have two coffee grinders. One's for coffee, one's for herbs. I'm going to grind this until it is the consistency of sea salt. You want it to be the consistency of sea salt for my drip coffee maker. Now, this is not my favorite coffee grinder because it's hard to see. One more. I like the older one that I had because it had a clear top. All right, yep, that does it. Then, now the thing to remember, never put your fingers down in there while the coffee grinder is plugged in. We'll do another. There we go. Coffee making is a bunch of trial and error. The more you make it, the better you get at it. And some of you probably have some really good tips on how to make coffee. Feel free to share those down in the comments. All right. I have a very coarse grind, well, a medium grind. I'm going to put this in my coffee drip container. That's way more than I need. So that is in there. Putting it there, and I do have hang on, let me lift it up. I have a metal coffee filter instead of a paper one, simply because I can reuse that. For my water, I am using cold filtered water. I've found that cold filtered water works the best and gives me the best tasting coffee. So I'm going to put this into my coffee maker. This one you do according to the directions of your coffee maker. Turn it on and then let it brew. Now that your coffee's made, you're saying, well, what do I do with it? All right, so most of you are not saying, well, what do I do with it? Because you're going to pour it into a drinking vessel. You can put it in a to-go cup, a mug, or you can store it. So like whatever you do not use, you could then pour into a jar, canning jar especially, because they can take hot liquids, let it cool. You could then put that into the refrigerator and use it at other times. Or once it's cooled, you could then pour the cooled coffee into ice cube trays and have coffee ice cubes, which you could then use into other drinks. We are going to use this coffee in something next week, which you're going to see, which is just really cool. But the important part about this is you've made what I consider a really good cup of coffee. And this is how I did it. Now you will find that there are many, many different ways to make coffee. You could do cold brew, which I have done that episode. You can click that card right there. It'll take you to the day where I made cold brew. You can then do things like other forms of coffee. It is really up to you how you make your coffee and what you make your coffee in. You can have a great cup of coffee made at home, take it with you, or use it however you want. Well, if you make this, let me know. You can get a hold of me on most social media at CM Coleman Home. If you are wondering, why on earth would I make an episode on making coffee? It's simply because this really can save you. I've been told that you can buy cups of coffee for like $2 to $3 per cup of coffee. That didn't cost anywhere near there. Plus, you can get whatever kind of roast that you want. You can do the coffee however you want. Make it specifically yours. If you want to flavor it, you can flavor it. If you want to add anything to it, do whatever you want. It is there for you whenever you want. Make it in the morning. If you are in a rush, that's why I say putting it into a jar like this. You could heat it up in the microwave the next morning. Will it be as good? Personally, I say yes, but a lot of people would disagree with me and say, no, heated up coffee is horrible. That is up to you to decide. It is up to you to figure out what coffee works best for you. But the two things which I want you to take away from this is the grind. The grind needs to be the best grind for your coffee maker. Mine was a medium grind. And the water. Pure water that is filtered or natural spring water, cold, I personally think works the best. Well, what did you think about that? Let me know, and I hope I get to see you again next time.